office. 6 a.m. comes early, but I don't feel like it's work.
Right.
Which is
That's exciting. And that's even, you know, chiropractors. We're not inexperienced when it comes to these early morning wake up calls where we get into the office. But when you're in your situation where you wake up at 6 a.m. or actually even before that to get to your 6 a.m. class, you just did a 6 a.m. class today, right? Yeah, and so you're talking about teaching the class, maybe jumping in on it. So you're already actively starting your day. And of course, obviously, CrossFit, it helps you in your performance lives. And hey, nothing to keep you from staying there. How late are you typically there till when you're taking care of patients and wrap?
probably like 6 or 7. I got some breaks and I have some time, but the first year is going to be hard. And as we get people that we could trust and work well with us, you know, we give them more responsibility. And you know, right now our main trainer, I'm doing 6 a.m.s, but our main trainer Corey is riding from Miles for Miracles, riding from San Diego, California to Daytona for raising money, trying to raise $1 million for spinal cord research. And so he's out there 45 days, 60 to 100 miles a day on a bike. So we had to pick up the slack in his absence.
Okay.
So.
Hey, just so we can give him a quick plug, what's the website that people can reach out if they want?
MileForMiracles.com. The Jimmy Button Foundation, Button Foundation. He was a former motocross guy, and Corey was his trainer. Fell off his bike in a freak accident 8 or 10 years ago. Was paralyzed. Now is walking again. So they're both riding across the U.S. trying to raise money for spinal cord research out in California.
That's quite a story. So
yeah.
we'll definitely get a quick plug in there for it. So, well, let me ask you, how did you? Chiropractors are probably having this question. How did you integrate the two? I mean, you don't have to go into the nitty-gritty details. We may say that for later. But how did you overall? Because, like you said, you didn't have a lot of models to work in. You got Kelly Starrett out in San Francisco, and you're trying to bridge that gap. How did you do it?
Well, when we first started, you know, we had a following from CrossFit, so we started with about 15 members, and we started. I would do the evaluation on them, and we really started with CrossFit first. The office was here to see people, and it was open, but I really tried to focus on getting the CrossFit moving, getting the majority of people to market the doctor's office in there, and people just started seeing results. And you know, CrossFit's a strange animal. Just people bring people. You don't have to ask them to. They have fun. They come here, and I just focused on that, bringing people in, doing the evaluations, and then they would talk, or they would get better, or their posture would get better. They would bring somebody else, and then just as somebody else came into CrossFit, they're like, all right, you know, why don't we set you up for the exam? It's, you know, for the evaluation, the doctor's office is included. Go over the nutrition, go over that functional movement stuff, and they kind of get it. When it takes them 15 minutes to learn how to squat, and they think they've been squatting their entire life, and they're doing it wrong, or you tell them to squat with a bar over their head, and they can't even bend their knees with their arms over their head, they start to get it. We were pretty fortunate or unfortunate, depending on how you look at it. Our X-ray machine is set up in the back in CrossFit, so all new people that come in and don't even know CrossFit's there, after we do the original evaluation for a new patient, we'll tell them when to go take their X-rays. We go in the back, and they start taking X-rays, and it's a big warehouse. There's weights on the ground. There's chalk dust in the air, and they're like, "What's this?" Because I don't mention it, and you know, this is the CrossFit. And they're like, "Oh, cool." So we just start talking to them about that, and we'll offer them, you know, come in, watch a class, come in, take a class. We have a couple of intros that we let new people do, and there's no selling. Come in, talk to the members, and when we have somebody else that comes in and says, you know, my knee hurts, my shoulder hurts, my back hurts, I'll just grab them 2 or 3 members that have gotten better, not just gotten better doing nothing, but gotten better and were still able to do CrossFit or do something. And that's like your testimonial right there. They're hanging out talking. They know each other. They trust each other. It's not written that they think that I made it up. They're sitting talking. Yeah, you know, I came in this is what happened. I kept working out what I was doing. We'll scale workouts as needed for those types of patients. And the one thing that I did change a lot from when I moved was we start to focus a lot more. We adjust, we do rehab, we'll do like some activation exercise and things like that, but we'll focus a lot on the soft tissue and mobility of the hips and shoulders, because or the ankles, wherever stuff's not working, which kind of separates us from most chiropractors and certainly every other CrossFit out there, with the exception of probably a handful. We do get a lot of we do treat a lot of other CrossFit members in the area. There's maybe there's probably about 4 affiliates within about 20 miles. There's some there's probably like 9 within 30 miles. So we do get some in that radius that come to see me because they go to their doctor and the doctor says, don't squat, don't deadlift, don't do this while you're hurt. And our goal is to keep our patients as active as possible, unless we feel like they're doing more harm than good, and they're supervised, and they kind of like that and they appreciate that, as opposed to saying, my doctor told me this, or what can I do? And we give them options, so it's not rest for 4 or 6
Sure,
days.
sure. And you definitely, CrossFit bucks the system, chiropractic bucks the system.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a challenge enough just to get people to understand chiropractic, and then you have a situation where it's like, okay, well, now let me introduce you to this completely different model of exercise and fitness that you've never been exposed to before. So
I chose to work with the smallest with the smallest pond there is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there we go. But let me ask you, programming wise, I know maybe there's maybe people are checking out this video that maybe some trainers or whatnot are in the CrossFit community. And or chiropractors who may not have a CrossFit affiliate in their gym, but who may be working with a CrossFit affiliate. And there's always that, well, how do we rectify the programming and a particular style of programming with the chiropractic care? How did the two augment together? So specifically, how have you found that they fit well together in that way? You talked scaling, also too, you talked about some rehab and some soft tissue in the hip and the shoulder and the ankles. But
we use the we'll have patients, like for instance, if they've got like something with the shoulders, like impingement things like with the shoulders, we have our bands, so they can use the bands before and after. Maybe they're doing farmer walks with kettlebells before and after, or different types of exercises, either before or after the workout. Some people, we urge them to come early and stay late to do that stuff. They'll do some stuff in here at the very beginning, activation things or mobility where they need to be, like I want somebody to be watching them. But once they're kind of moving on and getting better, for instance, like if somebody comes in with some knee pain, knee problems, we'll talk to them about strengthening the hips. Instead of having somebody sit on the side and do some of these, like, if she's 80 and she has weak hips, then maybe she's not going to swing a kettlebell. And we still will, but that's something I want to watch all the time. But when these people are members, and I know that they could swing a kettlebell properly, we'll get them, in their warm-up, add in, 3 sets of 10 of the kettlebell swings and focus on the hips and opening the hips and firing the hips and tightening the glutes and those types of things, just to strengthen that stuff. Or we've got in the back corner, we've got foam rollers, lacrosse balls, tennis balls, golf balls, PVC pipes, an array of stuff to teach them how to, 1, prevent injuries, 2, kind of bridge the gap between maybe visits to come to see me. Or, if somebody comes in and says, oh, I just did deadlifts, my back's sore, we don't just say, all right, come in, let's take a look at you. Like, that's somewhat normal. Work with the tennis balls, work with the PVC pipes, work with that stuff. If it's still bothering you in 2 or 3 days, come in, let's take a look at you. And, my biggest fear when we first started, and this might be a little tangent, my biggest fear when we first started was people coming to CrossFit, are they just going to think that we're, they come in, they just open up their pockets and start spending, that's how I felt when we were in the Globo gym. People would come in, they sit down, they sign up for year and year and year contracts that are impossible to get out of. Then they get forced into a trainer, and then they go to the smoothie store, and then finally they come to us and they're like, I just wanted a membership for $12.99. now I've got to take out a second mortgage to pay for all this stuff. I didn't want to feel like that again. So